rock and roll here in a matter of moments. I'll check the feeds and let you know what's up and running, J-Dubs. You check LinkedIn to get that up and running. We are live on Twitter, J-Dubs. Viewers and listeners, like and share the show. Monday edition of the I Love CVille show, a lot to cover. YouTube is live, Judah. Twitter is live. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. My Facebook is up and running there, J-Dubs. If you like the show, the only thing we ask in return is you hammer the like button and subscribe to the broadcast. Hammer the like button, subscribe to the broadcast, viewers and listeners. We're going to talk, Vanessa Parkhill, thank you, we appreciate you considerably. Unfortunately, Virginia suffered its first loss of the season against Wake Forest on national television. The Chandler Morris injury, probably more significant than the loss to the Demon Deacons. We will certainly know more about the Chandler Morris injury in the next probably 24 hours. We know Tony Elliott has a press conference with the media tomorrow at 11:30. So that's 23 hours from now. His weekly press conference with the media is on Tuesdays at 11:30 a.m. He also has his coaches show tonight. Virginia basketball is playing tomorrow. So the coaches show has been moved to this evening. I would imagine the Chandler Morris question will come up with John Freeman, who's the voice of the Cavaliers. That is a guarded, a safer zone for the head coach because it is the voice of the Cavaliers that is leading that show. But I would hope the Chandler Morris question comes up in his status. A lot we're going to cover on the program. Like and share the show. Like and share the show. We're going to talk on today's program about Donald Trump and a 50-year mortgage. What is the impact a 50-year mortgage could have on Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia real estate? That's a topic that I find extremely intriguing. Some people are in favor of a 50-year mortgage. Other people are vehemently opposed to a 50-year mortgage. I see both sides. I'm in the opposition camp, but I understand that it puts people in the game and at least gets them in an ownership status outside of a rental status. But do you understand the amount of interest that you're going to be paying in a 50-year mortgage? And I can also emphasize this. If the 50-year mortgage is an option, it's only going to make housing stock more expensive. It's not going to make it more affordable. It's the same thing that happened with cars. When 7 and 8 year notes started materializing for vehicles, thanks to the absurd expensiveness of cars and a large part tied to the COVID and pandemic, that's when cars became absurdly expensive. That's when we started seeing 7 and 8 year notes. When we started seeing 7 and 8 year notes, we really saw vehicle prices go up. I'm concerned about a similar thing with housing. We'll talk about that on the show today. Like and share the show. Hammer the like button. Is Spanberger on the cusp of taking marijuana to a completely different level? Right now, marijuana is basically legalized, but there are restrictions with retail. Are we about to see those restrictions completely lifted? And if so, what's the impact that's going to have on Charlottesville? I want to have that conversation on today's show. This Cornell University deal has got me thinking as well. Cornell University has basically entered into a $60 million agreement with the Trump administration to keep Donald Trump from stepping on their neck and to preserve more than $250 million in federal funding for the Ivy League school. That topic on the program. Like and share the show. Like and share the show. Judah Wickower, are we live on LinkedIn?
No, I'm getting an error message that LinkedIn operations staff know that there's a problem reaching LinkedIn right now.
Okay, out of our control. Let's rock and roll when you're ready. If you normally watch on LinkedIn, head over to our YouTube channel to watch the show. If you normally watch on LinkedIn, head over to our YouTube channel to watch the show. We understand we are not live on LinkedIn. All right, we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on a Monday afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys to our flagship show, the I Love CVille show, and there's a lot to cover on today's program. We do not often lead with sports on the program. We usually save that for the back end of the show. That loss to Wake Forest, however, is one that is pretty significant. It's significant because it puts a blemish on UVA's Atlantic Coast Conference record, but more significantly, it puts into question the health of quarterback Chandler Morris, who, as you saw on Saturday night, is the engine that keeps Virginia's offense running in efficient or prolific directions. We're going to talk about Virginia football. We'll talk Chandler Morris. We'll talk what's in store for the University of Virginia football team on today's program. Tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., Tuesdays at 11:30, Tony Elliott hosts his weekly press conference with the media. Jerry Ratcliffe, who is the star of the Jerry and Jerry show, that show airs on Tuesdays at 10:15 a.m. He will be in our studio tomorrow. He will offer all the insight tied to Chandler Morris and his potential injury. Certainly looked like a concussion to me. We hope to have insight on the Jerry and Jerry show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. for you as it applies to Chandler Morris. If we do not, Jerry Ratcliffe will go to Tony Elliott's press conference in person, which is 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, to keep everybody up to speed. A lot on the show and a lot on the network this week. We have another tent city that's emerged on the Rivanna Trail. I mean, this is just... And I understand why the tent city's emerging. The temperatures are getting colder. Yeah. As the temperatures are getting colder, it's human nature. I mean, it's instinct, it's survival to figure out warmth and livable conditions. And as folks who live outside, they're congregating in one location to try to survive. That's why these tent cities are happening. Now City Hall has got yet another dubious decision to make, concerning decision to make. Certainly don't want to be in their shoes. What do you do with dozens, if not more, of people who live outside with the temperatures this week below freezing? And that's where we're at. Tent city on the Rivanna Trail, next to the Rivanna River, in a location where the homeless have highlighted to local government, where the homeless have highlighted to the police department. There's a dam that opens up and sends dangerous amounts of water right by the tent city, and anyone that's near this watershed is at a risk of being swept away and drowned. Tremendous liability for Charlottesville, Virginia here. We're going to talk about Spanberger, Abigail, the new governor. What is that, the 75th governor in Commonwealth of Virginia history? Abigail Spanberger. The chitter chatter, the scuttlebutt is marijuana, cannabis, weed, the hippie lettuce, the green, the shrubbery, the marijuana, the Mary Jane, you name it. She's all about it. And she's going to legal retail it. And right now that cannabis is so easily available. There's a spot on the downtown mall. I won't tell you where. I won't tell you when. You pay $10 to get in. You go upstairs on a downtown mall storefront, and it's a weed farmer's market. Edibles, gummies, flour, vapes, anything you want, any price you want, quality you want. You got the Rolls Royce all the way down to the Honda Civic. $10 to get in. You pay some money out of pocket, $35 to $55, $65. You have an eighth. You can get a quarter. You can get a half ounce. You can get a cornucopia of cannabis, ladies and gentlemen. It's no secret. Everyone knows about it. But is that now going to go from this private club mentality to a retail storefront mentality, a la all these vape shops we see around town? There's a reason these vape shops are popping around town. One employee can run it, and the inventory doesn't spoil or go bad. Very similar to cannabis, ladies and gentlemen. One employee can run it, don't need a big square feet, don't need a ton of square feet, need some parking in front of your store. One employee, inventory is not going bad, high margins. Are we about to see the next evolution of vape shops and its cannabis in Charlottesville and Albemarle County and beyond? We'll talk about that on the show. I want to talk this 50-year mortgage storyline that is circulating. Boy, oh boy, is Donald Trump continuing to stay in the news cycle. He stays in the news cycle for Ukraine. He stays in the news cycle for Putin and Russia. He stays in the news cycle for tariffs in China. He stays in the news cycle for semiconductors and chips and Nvidia and AMD. He stays in the news cycle for Argentina. He stays in the news cycle for this. Americans on the cusp of potentially getting $2,000 from the federal government. Will that be a stimulus check that's mailed to us? I don't know. Will it be some kind of tax credit on our tax returns each year? Who knows? But he's continuing to stay in the news cycle. That's what he does. Some people call Donald Trump a socialist. Some people call Donald Trump a dictator. Some people call Donald Trump this. Some people call Donald Trump that. One thing he does do is stay in the news cycle. Now he's in the cycle for a 50-year mortgage. It absolutely boggles my mind, a 50-year mortgage on a house, when the average American stays in their home 7 to 10 years. Do you understand the amount of interest a homeowner will pay with a 50-year mortgage? Do you ever, for those that have 7-year and 8-year car notes, do you know the amount of interest you're paying on that note? Think about it on a 50-year mortgage, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I see both sides. One side of the 50-year mortgage is it allows people to get in the game. I get it. It allows people, even if they're predominantly paying only interest in the first portion, the first years, 5, 10 years, whatever it may be of that mortgage, they're predominantly only paying interest, but at least they own something and they can fix their overhead. I get it. It allows them to transition from tenant to owner. But the whole MO, the whole mission, the whole thinking behind the 50-year mortgage is it creates a level of affordability for Americans to get into the home ownership game, which could solve a housing crisis. I think it could be the opposite. It could be the opposite, ladies and gentlemen. John, if you're watching on the program, we are having issues with LinkedIn. I'm going to have to send him a message since he's number 2 in the family. YouTube today, LinkedIn issues. All right, I just sent him a message. I hope he sees it. If the 50-year mortgage materializes, it's going to drive the cost of housing higher because there's going to be more buyers in the pool, which creates more buyer demand, which is going to make prices uptick. We saw this happen during COVID. During the pandemic, when the cost of an automobile, the cost of a vehicle became much more unaffordable than pre-COVID, 7, 8-year notes. And when the 6, 7, 8-year notes started materializing, ladies and gentlemen, that's when vehicle prices became, you find a new car under $40K and you got to question what's going on. You find a new car that's an SUV or a truck or a middle tier or up brand under $50K, and you got to question what's going on. It ain't cheap anymore to buy a vehicle. We're going to talk the 50-year mortgage on today's program and what I think is going to be a disaster for housing, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk basketball, back in action against Hampton on Tuesday. Hampton Pirates are a better basketball team. I'm not saying they're Duke, which with the Boozer twins, the Duke Blue Devils and head coach John Shire look like they got one of the best basketball teams in the country. Goodness gracious, Duke and Carlos Boozer's 2 sons, they're twins. One of them is 6'8", the other one's 6'4". These boys, this team is nasty, but Hampton's better than North Carolina Central. Hampton's better than Rider. We should see a little bit of a stiffer test at the John Paul Jones Arena tomorrow night, 9 o'clock tip in Charlottesville, Virginia. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera. I'd love to give some love to Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes. If you need a hardscape built at your house or a hardscape built at your office, you call one company, Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes. Soup to nuts, Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes is the best in the market. They can customize, strategize, they can plan, they can design anything for you. Tim Hess, the point of contact. They got a fabulous design center on the downtown mall in the Wells Fargo building. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes is who you call for anything hardscape related. Judah Wickhauer, studio camera, please. And then, my friend, I'm going to walk you in on a two-shot. Tom Powell wants to know what's going on with the UVA scandal with the UVA professor who was caught on camera talking about the diversity, equity, and inclusion ploy and scheme to bamboozle the federal government out of money. Well, I'll tell you what. There's another video of it wasn't a UVA professor, it was a UVA staffer. There's another video of a UVA staffer that's on camera that's circulating on some of these conservative media sites as well. This wasn't the only UVA staffer caught on camera. There's a second one that's been caught on a DL camera talking about the DEI ploy. Judah Wickower, the show is yours. I start with the same question, so it should be no surprise. Which headline intrigues you the most and why? And if it's that one, we can go with some commentary on the second staffer caught up in a scheme or a ploy.
It's more than more than a second staffer. I'm interested in. Got a lot of stuff going on. Cornell reaching a deal. At least we can say that UVA got out of it without having to pay down any money to the government. And the 50-year mortgage, is that gonna? How is that going to affect people's savings when you're putting money? When you're putting money into a house and you've got a 50-year mortgage. I'm curious how that's going to affect. How much you get saved up in a house on a deal like that. But yeah, UVA has more people on video talking about getting away with hiding DEI.
DEI ploy, DEI scheme. We'll talk about it on the program. First, it's got to be the football. Well, one-shot me. I know it's not your topic du jour. I'm going to spend 90 seconds on the football topic, and then I'm going to encourage you to watch the Jerry and Jerry show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. with Jerry Ratcliffe, the namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com, a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. He literally is inducted in the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, and he's been covering Virginia football for 50 years. 50 years. He's got multiple books he's written. He's at every football game, every basketball game, 50 straight ACC tournaments. In fact, this year will be 51 straight ACC basketball tournaments. Look, Virginia lost. They lost on national television. They look like a deflated football team, a shadow of themselves offensively, certainly a shadow of themselves of how they started the season with one of the most prolific offenses in all of college football. When Chandler Morris goes for a slide and he gets crunched by two Wake Forest Demon Deacons and he's laying lifeless on the turf, we all gasped as Wahoo Nation. We all literally gasped, and we saw the entire season unfold before us. And this football team goes as the quarterback goes. Cam Robinson's the best football player on the roster. The linebacker, who clearly is going to be a standout in the National Football League and an early round pick in the NFL, Cam Robinson, one of the best defensive players in the ACC. He's probably going to be the Defensive Player of the Year or on the short list in the Atlantic Coast Conference for the award. But the football team goes as this 5'9", 5'10" quarterback from Texas, Chandler Morris. And he was lifeless on the turf. We all thought concussion immediately. Thank God he showed back on the sidelines in street clothes. The backup quarterback has upside, but the backup quarterback was thrown into a lion's den. Is that Meshach and Abednego that had to go in the lion's den?
No, that was Daniel.
Daniel had to go in the lion's den. What did Meshach and Abednego have to do?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went into the it was the base of a giant statue that had a extremely hot furnace in the bottom of it.
Shadrach, so the backup quarterback is Daniel in the lion's den, or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in a flaming furnace in Wake Forest's defense. I don't blame the backup quarterback. Does Des Kitchens get some blame, the play caller? Hell yes, he does. Because the offenses look vanilla, and that weird trickery that he tried to do at the goal line where he spread out the skill players and the offensive linemen to try to score a trickeration touchdown, that was just foolish. Absolutely foolish. Now we're going to know what this team is made of. With Duke on Saturday in Durham, 3:30 kickoff ESPN, and the Hokies in Charlottesville to close the season. You win 2 games out, you still have a chance for the ACC championship. We'll talk the Chandler Morris injury tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. with Jerry Ratcliffe of the Jerry and Jerry Show. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, there was going to be some adversity this season, and this is it. And we determine champions with how they manage adversity. We're going to see if Virginia's got a championship mindset or not. Time will tell. And off the record, I've heard through the grapevine, if Virginia football qualifies for the college football playoff, there's a wealthy Virginia alumni who's got a $10 million check he is ready to write. You make the college football playoff, there's a wealthy UVA alumni on the sideline that's ready to write a $10 million donation check to keep the momentum going for this football team and this football program. So much to cover on the broadcast. Two-shot Judah Wickower. Tent City has popped up on the Rivanna Trail again, lower third on screen. I mean, what do you do here if you're City Hall and Sam Sanders? What do you do here if you're city council? It is no coincidence that Tent Town has popped up next to the Rivanna Trail on the Rivanna River, and viewing shed of all of us with the temperatures in the 20s at night in the Charlottesville area.
Yeah, I mean, when it starts to get cold, if I was out there, I'd be looking for a place with some tree breaks to help cut down on the wind. I'd be looking for a place lower down, like on a trail or near a river bank.
Near an overpass, near a river bank, close to everything, close to a bridge. I mean, it's the strategic spot for a tent town to pop up.
Yeah.
But it goes in absolute stark contrast to what Chief Kochis, the police department, Sam Sanders, and City Council instructed the police department to do months ago when the police department cleared the tent town and the tent city in the Rivanna River.
I don't know that this one isn't this. I don't think this one is in the exact same spot. I also know that, as we should all know, that with the tabling of the no camping ban,
there's nothing. Kochis said, "I'm not going to do anything."
Kochis said, "You're not going to give me a basis of law under which I can work, then
Bingo.
I can't help you."
Bingo. Chief Kochis.
Stop bringing this to my table.
Chief Kochis, you watch this program. Chief Kochis, we call you the George Clooney of policing. Chief Kochis, you know we have tremendous respect for you. Chief Kochis, you have played this 110% correctly the entire time. Chief Kochis, if I was you, I would do absolutely nothing with the tent town that's on the Rivanna River. City Council left you out to dry in that meeting and essentially made you the fall guy for this camping, storage of belongings, public camping ordinance that originated from council. And none of the councilors put their hands in the air and said, it was us who told Chief Kochis to do this presentation. Mm-hmm. If you live in Hogwaller, if you live off High Street, if you live on the base of Pantops, near the base of Pantops, River Bend, if you live in anywhere around that portion of the Rivanna Trail, if you utilize the Rivanna Trail anywhere in that portion, you now have a tent town that is as significant as we've seen in Charlottesville, except for Sandersville and the Market Street Park, at the brink of Sam Sanders' term as city manager. And City Council, you have now made this bed. City Council, this is on you. So if there's anything that happens in any negative or dangerous capacity in Tent Town, on the Rivanna Trail or the Rivanna River or by Freebridge, where there's a boatload of residents, a boatload of tenants, a boatload of homeowners, a boatload of walkers and runners and hikers and bikers, this is on City Council. And I don't blame the folks that are making up Tent Town.
I don't either.
They're freaking freezing. They're cold.
I'm surprised the city hasn't found a spot for them.
And survival means, part of survival in life was Pavlov's, what do you need? Housing, you need food, you need shelter, warmth, all that. Tent Town. This is a result of leadership not being forward. Leadership being in the moment backward or fearful to disappoint the loud folks in attendance, as opposed to what's best for the community as a whole. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. And no one should blame the Tent Town residents.
Right.
No one should blame the 10-town residents. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll put them in the feed. Jeremy Wilson is watching in Eastern Tennessee, Judah. He says the backup quarterback looked like a lame duck out there. Kalen looked like a lost duck at times. He absolutely did. But you also saw some of the upside of Kalen, who remember, was recruited by Nebraska. This kid's a baller. You saw the upside. He was just thrown into the lion's den like Daniel, or into the furnace like Meshach. What was it? Meshach and Abednego? Who's the first guy?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Man, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. What are those names?
What are those names?
What are those names? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
I think we can. I think we can be fairly certain of a guess in the, I don't know, Israel.
The tribe of Judah?
I don't know about the tribe of Judah, but one of the 12 tribes, certainly, I would guess.
Oh, you got us live on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You got us live on LinkedIn. We're live on LinkedIn over there for you, John Blair. All right, next headline. What do you got, Judah Wickauer?
Let's see. We've got a new governor coming in soon. What will that mean for marijuana retail?
Let's get Bob Yarborough's photo on screen. He's the king of Redfields. Bob Yarborough's photo on screen. I trust this man. His commentary is rooted in realistic experience and sound reasoning. Bob Yarborough is not a don't get too high or too low type of guy. Same Bob Yarborough every day, and that's why people love Bobby Yarborough, the king of Redfields. He says, with retail weed, on January 1, 2027, we'll have legal markets in jurisdictions that don't opt out. I'm telling you right now, we got clients, we're not going to say who, that are doubling down and tripling down on retail weed. And look, if you watch and listen to the show, you know that yours truly is pro-cannabis. And why I'm pro-cannabis is I realize that there's this gray market that's smoking and buying and selling weed, and nothing's being done by it. I'm also pro-cannabis because historically, weed has historically impacted the black and brown population from a crime standpoint, from an arrest standpoint, at much more significant clips than the white weed user or the white seller, the white buyer. The black and brown buyers and sellers and the black and brown smokers, for one reason or another, and we don't have this could be an entire show, but for one reason or another, the black or brown smokers, buyers and sellers are either targeted or terribly coincidentally in trouble with the law at much more significant clips than the white buyer and seller and smoker. And I'm a man of that wants equitable playing fields in everything. Equitable playing fields with college admissions, equitable playing fields with enjoying marijuana, equitable playing fields with speeding, interpretations of the law, equitable playing fields with hiring, equitable playing fields with who you marry or who you choose to bump uglies with. Keep it equitable. That's all I care about, okay? Okay? So this retail marijuana is going to be a reality for progressive Charlottesville and progressive Albemarle County. The question I have for you, the viewer and listener, is the retail marijuana the new version of the vape shop? The vape shops are far and wide. Or how about I take it a step further? The vape shops that have all the quality leases, the vape shops that are in walking distance of the schools, elementary, middle school, and high school, are they now going to be the retail gateway for the retail marijuana? If your business, your lease, your storefront, your model is set up for vape shops, how easy would it be to plug and play green, shrubbery, weed, cannabis, marijuana, Mary Jane, right? Mm-hmm. So does this now just fortify or strengthen the business model of the vape shop? A model that already looks pretty damn strong, one employee, inventory that doesn't age or go bad or spoil, high margin items. What's going to spoil with the retail weed? Maybe the flower molds a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, spoil is maybe the wrong word, but
The flour's not going to mold that much. They're going to turn it so quickly, it's not going to mold.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's.
The edible's not going to mold. The butter's not going to mold. It's not going to spoil. It fortifies and strengthens what a lot of folks already see as what? I don't want to use the word scourge. I mean, the vape shops wouldn't be opening if there wasn't a market for the vape shop product.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think the vape shops are opening because they want to play the long game that Spamberger is going to green light green. The vape shops are opening because people buy vape and they make money.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
that's
just
the same reason they'll be selling gummies and
everything
as soon as they possibly. I mean, look, my parents totally against marijuana my entire life.
But your dad's now ripping 18-inch Jerome Baker bong hits
I wouldn't go that far, but
with double bubbler sidecars.
But he's got.
Is that what you're saying?
He's got gummies in the fridge now.
Good for him.
Yeah.
What kind of gummies does Big Jim have in the fridge?
Pretty powerful ones.
Pretty powerful ones.
Good Lord.
What?
My sister's brought gummies from California, and I've had them, and most of the time they don't really do anything. I mean, it's not like eating it's not like you got a big bag of high quality weed. Anyways, my dad's got these gummies in the fridge. My mom was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," point them out. So I'm like, pop one of them in my mouth. Like throughout dinner, I'm just like, wow, I feel like really buzzed. Thing is, I felt buzzed the entire next day. I'm like, oh my goodness. I looked the thing up online, and they're a lot.
How old's your dad? Is he 80?
A lot
Is your dad
stronger than
80?
your average. Yeah, he's 81.
How's your 81? Is your 81-year-old dad after popping one of these gummies? He's put his Jerry Garcia tie-dye shirt on. He's doing jumping jacks on the trampoline. He's blowing out a sunflower over there and just sitting over there looking at the sky.
I don't think my dad was ever a deadhead, but he probably just watches TV and goes to bed.
I am all for the free market. I am all for entrepreneurs. I'm all for the weedpreneurs. I'm all for the free market doing the free market, what the free market does. I will tell you this, when Spamberger green lights green, it's the vape shops that have the advantage because they're already set up to go.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already got inroads to...
100% they do. We know they do. We absolutely know they do. Even the ones that are set up not as vape shops, like friend of the program, David Treccarici's Skooma. He's got all the inroads you need right there. Mm-hmm. My only concern with this is, are your empty storefronts or are your shopping districts going to be proliferated with puff, puff, pass and not diversified with retail options?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then the consumer does not really win. Eventually, the market will figure it out.
Yeah.
Next headline, Judah Wickhauer, what do you got?
Let's see. 50-year mortgage plan.
Yeah. Bob Yarborough says, in some states with legal weed, big marijuana has effectively squeezed out the mom and pop shops. You see that certainly in Colorado. You see that certainly in California. In regards to the 50-year mortgage plan, look, I'm torn on this. What are you torn on this? Are you in favor of the 50-year mortgage?
I mean, does it really? How many people is it really going to help?
Okay, I think the 50-year. Here are the pros. I think of the 50-year mortgage. Okay, if you're stuck in a renting cycle, where it's first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit due up front, and that first month's rent, last month's rent, and the security deposit, due up front, that could be like $5,000 to $6,000, if not more. Mm-hmm. And then your rent increases every year, 4 to 5, 6%, depending on how aggressive your landlord is.
And you're not saving.
And you're not saving any money. You're stuck in this rent cycle. That 50-year mortgage could help some of these folks stuck in this cycle. Yeah. At worst case scenario, fix their overhead with a 50-year mortgage where their mortgage payment is fixed and it's not upticking 5% every year like their rents. And while the first handful of years, and I'd have to get an amortization table and a mortgage calculator out, while the first handful of years, the large majority of payments that you make in those first handful of years, many years, is going to be predominantly all interest. Look at a 30-year mortgage. Look at your 30-year amortization table, folks, if you have a mortgage. And look in the first handful of years how much money is actually going against principal and how much money is going to interest only. You would be astonished and perhaps demoralized in the early stages of a 30-year mortgage how much money is going only to interest to a bank or lender and not against the actual debt on the purchase of what you bought.
Yeah.
Okay? In a 50-year mortgage, it's going to be even worse because they're stretching the payment in a longer period of time.
Yeah.
The positive is for the person stuck in this rent cycle, at least they can fix their overhead.
Yeah.
And that fixing of the overhead eventually should be able to accrue some equity. Now, here's what no one is talking about with the 50-year mortgage. You can fix your overhead, right? But once you become an owner and not a renter, when that HVAC unit breaks down, that $5,000 to $10,000 cost is on you.
Yeah.
When the roof starts to leak and becomes an absolute nightmare, that $10,000 to $20,000 cost is on you. When the electrical, when the washer dryer, when the refrigerator, when there's a leak, when your 2.5-year-old kid who loves to use the F word in public places in front of people decides to go into the powder room and literally rip the handle off the sink in the powder room, or your 2.5-year-old decides to go to the side door of your house and rip the front door handle off the side door of your house, or your 2.5-year-old decides to go to the HVAC unit, one of the two HVAC units that's outside your house, and starts messing with the plumbing, the piping behind that unit, all those repairs are on you. And while your overhead may get fixed, and you're out of this vicious rent cycle, your overhead tied to repairs is infinitely more costly. Because in the renter situation, you were passing those on to your landlord.
Yeah.
You're not really going to come out ahead, and in some circumstances, depending on the age of the house that you purchase, you could also fall significantly behind. Okay? Now, let's talk about the 50-year mortgage from a Charlottesville and Albemarle County standpoint. A 50-year mortgage is going to make houses more expensive because it's going to put more buyers in the buying pool. We saw this when during COVID. Pandemic is when cars became obscenely expensive. 2018, 2017, 2019, before COVID, you could buy a car that was new, a year old, for $20,000, $30,000. My wife and I, during the year 2020, in June of 2020, this was 3 months into COVID, I knew immediately during COVID, I'm like, this is the biggest pile of you-know-what I've ever seen. I said in March of 2020, my wife and I said, honey, we're going to buy a house right now in March of 2020. Because they're talking about no open houses. They're talking about paperless transactions, not being in the closing room with other people. They're saying you have to have a hazmat suit on to tour homes. We're going to find a house that's been long in the tooth, that has a days on the market that's really long, and we're going to put an aggressive offer on it, and we're going to make sure the sellers we didn't even have to know. They already knew. They thought the world was coming to an end. We lived in Redfields at the time, where Bobby Yarborough lived. I had lived in the Redfields neighborhood for 7 or 8 years, so I had equity build up plus appreciation. Plus, it was an extremely popular neighborhood where everybody was fighting at the tooth to buy, chomping at the bit to buy into Redfields because of its proximity, its amenities, its family, its quality of life. I said, we're going to take this equity, we're going to take this popular neighborhood, and we're going to parlay it into a deal that's going to make us a boatload of money in a short period of time. We found a home in Glenmore, a 5,300 square foot brick Georgian that was 5 bedrooms and 4.5 baths on an acre of land. that had a days on market that was approaching 2 years because at that time the Glenmore homes were not selling. I lowballed this home to the tune of many six figures below market. And I said, I'm going to do this deal in a seller finance capacity where you're going to fix my interest rate at 3.5%, and you're going to give me a fixed interest rate for 7 years at 3.5%. I'll give you 20% down because I didn't really care about the 20% because I was walking away with a pile of money from selling my Redfields home. And I'm going to say, take it or not. If you don't want to take it, then you know what? The world's coming to an end. Took it immediately. Immediately. $700,000 transaction. Then Glenmore explodes. The exit, our exit, not even 4 years later, is at $1.2 million. All we did was sleep on a pillow there, put some paint on some walls, and that's it. Exited that one, trampolined or parlayed it to where we really wanted to go Ivy, which at the time was just out of our reach. And all we did was sleep on a pillow because we knew at the time that you be aggressive when people are scared. During COVID, we did that in the first year with our family Ford Explorer. In June, right after buying our house, bought the house in March of 2020. I'm like, this is absurd, what this deal we got in March of 2020. Then I said, what if we do this with a car? We went to Malloy Ford. We tried the Toyota guys on Pantops. We tried Ford on Route 29. And I said, you know what? You literally have no single person on this lot. Nobody is on this lot. I'm going to take this car for 15% below MSRP. And I want no interest on my payments for 5 years. And they said, Mr. Miller, where do you sign up? Literally got a Ford Explorer in June of 2020 that had barely any mileage on it. And they were giving us the car below 10%. I think it was like 12.5% off MSRP. No interest for like 60 months. Easiest close ever. You know what the biggest mistake I made with that deal? Not buying 2 cars. Should have bought 2 cars. No money down. Literally not a single dollar down. Not $1 down. Paid that entire Explorer off in less than 60 months at no interest. $0 down. I should have bought 2 of them. That was the mistake I made right there. And it was in that period of time where these dealers were starting to give cars away because they were so desperate that you started seeing a car shortage happen. And when the car shortage happened, started during COVID, you started seeing these car prices escalate astronomically. Remember when the used car market was so ridiculously out of control that used cars during COVID were appreciating in value and not depreciating in value? Remember that?
Yeah.
That's when we started seeing the 7-year car note. When we started seeing a 7-year car note, that's when the automobile market really started exploding in price. Because when you can scale a car payment over 84 months versus 36 months, a buyer buys according to monthly payment. I'm not going to use the word unsophisticated. Okay. What you can afford, you're buying according to monthly payment, as opposed to thinking this is my purchase price and this is the interest I'm paying.
Right.
You're buying to peak monthly payment. So once you got an 84 payment cycle or an 84 payment schedule, that monthly payment became manageable, which allowed the manufacturers and the dealers to escalate the price.
Yeah.
Now show me how you can show me how you can find a Toyota, Highlander, 4Runner, Grand Highlander under 50 grand. Show me how you can find a Hyundai or a Kia Telluride new under 50 grand. A Ford Explorer new under 50 grand. These same vehicles, Judah, in June of 2020, were selling for $30K. You're telling me 5 years later, these vehicles are now $50,000 plus? With the only difference an 84 payment schedule versus a 36 or 60 payment schedule, 60-month payment schedule? It's the same thing that's going to happen to housing. You throw out a 50-year mortgage, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to drive the cost of housing through the roof. It's not going to solve a supply and demand issue. It's not going to solve an affordability issue. It's not going to solve a housing crisis issue. It's just going to make monthly payments more manageable, put more buyers in the pool, which is going to escalate the price. Judah, your thoughts. Viewers and listeners, your thoughts. Put them on the screen. I will relay them live on air. Judah Wickower, you go first.
Yeah. On top of that, I would be worried about the price of the house going down, because you're not saving up equity at the same rate as someone with a regular 30-year mortgage. And if the housing market takes a turn, I think people in 50-year mortgages will be closer to ending up underwater than they would be otherwise.
Deep Throat, comments on screen, number one in the family. With the 50-year mortgage, this is Deep Throat, number one in the family. It's absolute insanity. They are talking about it in the UK too, the United Kingdom too. I don't think you fix affordability through even more leverage. You allow people to borrow more for a given income level. It will just push up prices. Now higher prices will also call forth more production. So it isn't just going to push up prices, but it seems like a very inefficient way to boost production. People can look at education prices for an example of what happens when credit becomes more available. That's a great comparison. Colleges and universities.
Yeah.
Isn't it wild? This is what's wild to me. Are you ready for what's wild to me, viewers and listeners? Buckle up and listen to this. Are you ready for this? Explain to me, viewers and listeners, Judah, explain this to me. How can a 17 or 18-year-old kid get a $250,000 loan to pay for a 4-year degree where he or she is studying music appreciation, philosophy, art history, dance? I'm not going to call them bullshit majors, but you call them whatever you want. Okay, maybe I just did. How can a 17 or 18-year-old kid get a $250,000 loan, financed over a 20 or 30-year window, to get a degree that's going to pay them nothing, when a 30 or 35-year-old can't get a similar loan to buy an appreciating asset called a house?
Yeah.
A 17 or 18-year-old kid can get a loan for $250,000 with no money down, finance over 20 or 30 years.
No assets.
No assets.
No collateral.
No collateral. No credit history. No path to pay the loan back. A philosophy degree certainly ain't it. Neither is making clay, neither is glass blowing, neither is music appreciation, neither is women's appreciation, neither is African American history appreciation, neither is Eastern European history appreciation, neither is any of the other ones. And yet they're throwing educational loans at them.
Yeah.
But that same person, 15 years later, 10 years later, that has a job and a salary, can't get a similar loan to buy an appreciating asset called a house that is the collateral for the loan.
Yeah.
Our society is broken in so many ways. In so many ways it's broken. And then you have some families that are prepaying their kids' college education from knee-high to their parents till when they're ready to graduate, and others that have to go into these lending vehicles that they'll never pay off. It is broken. Deep Throat says, I also think that as much as no bank willing to hold a prepayable 50-year asset. The negative convexity is intensely bad. So you have to expect it also would mean either the government directly via Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie Mae taking on that risk. As a taxpayer, I don't love it. Who in their right mind, if you're a lender, would lend money to somebody on a 50-year note? Insanity. Insanity. And I'm gonna tell you right now, okay? Trump looks like a socialist to me. Trump looks like a socialist to me. Trump's talking about giving every American $2,000. Trump's talking about 50-year mortgages. Trump's looking like a socialist to me. And is all this for approval rating? Is this for approval rating here?
Good question.
This don't look like this isn't the execution of a capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Yarborough makes a great point. With the 50-year note, your payment would not be fixed because your property taxes and your insurance and your escrow would go up. 100%.
Yeah.
The 50-year mortgage is a way to house trap an unsophisticated or marginalized buyer.
Yeah.
The 50-year mortgage will take the historically marginalized people in our world and trap them for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa Parkhill says, with the student education, because the government took over issuing the student loans, their math rarely makes sense. Well, the government may take over these 50-year loans. Vanessa Parkhill, we love when you watch the program. Georgia Gilmer wants the hook on where your dad buys his edibles and his gummies.
I'll have to ask. I don't know where he gets them.
50-year mortgage. This is insanity. Let's put thousands of more buyers into a buying pool of throttled housing inventory and see what happens to said housing inventory. 50-year mortgage. We thought that lower interest rates, we saw in COVID what lowering interest rates did to housing values when the government and the Fed artificially deflated rates to 2 and 3% levels. Wait until you see the federal government do something even worse than pushing rates to 2 and 3%, creating a 50-year mortgage vehicle. And when that happens, your marginalized populations will be trapped for more than half their effing life, and certainly the large majority of their professional earning window. And then you throw in some student debt on top. You know who's going to get the 50-year mortgages? The folks that are $250,000 and $300,000 in debt for a degree in pottery.
Basket weaving.
You get a basket weaving degree and you go $250,000 in debt, and then you sign up for a 50-year mortgage. Just go ahead and put the noose in the garage over the high beam. Next headline, what do you got?
Let's see. Cornell.
Dude, this is a fascinating story. Are you ready for this? Cornell University wanted to go balls to the wall with Donald Trump. Like Harvard University, Deep Throat's alma mater. Deep Throat, I think you're a Harvard alum, are you not? Does memory serve? Didn't you graduate from Harvard at like 19 or 20, Deep Throat? Am I correct on that? I think you mentioned that to me years ago. I was drinking beers. He was having Coca-Colas. I was 2 beers in, and he was like 4 Coca-Colas in. Isn't that what it was? Diet Coke, Deep Throat? Cornell University wanted to go balls to the wall with Trump, like Harvard. Eventually, Cornell University realized we're negotiating with a lunatic here. Cornell University reached an agreement with the Trump administration, and Cornell, with $250 million in federal funding on the line, said, oh my God, we're just going to give you, Donald Trump and your administration, $30 million.
60.
No, $30 million over 3 years.
Yeah.
And then we're going to allocate another 30 on top of that and invest in research programs that will directly benefit U.S. farmers through lower cost of production and enhanced efficiency. So Cornell basically said, Jesus, we're going to give Donald Trump $60 million because he's not going to give us $250 million.
I think it was more than that. The Trump administration at the time said it had frozen about $1 billion in federal cash and contracts with the school. So it may have been 250 directly on the line, but I think there was more involved than just that.
And now Cornell is in the same agreement that the University of Virginia is in.
Mm-hmm.
So this interim president, Paul Mahoney, who entered into this agreement where he basically opens up UVA's books on a quarterly basis to the Department of Justice and the Trump administration to audit, well, guess what? Interim President Paul Mahoney's looking like he's a pretty smart guy.
Potentially save the school millions of dollars.
Tens of millions of dollars. Because the people that are going toe-to-toe with Trump, Cornell University,
Yeah.
they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And now they look like the weak little kid on the playground that had his Lunchables, his crackers, his cheddar cheese, and those little round slices of ham that come in that plastic box that we call Lunchables, taken by the schoolyard bully. And the schoolyard bully is this guy named Donald, who's sitting behind the oak tree next to the swing sets by the seesaw, watching Megan in her Catholic school skirt teeter-tottering on the seesaw while gobbling up Judah's Lunchables.
I'd say it's more like he's counting cash that he's got from all the.
Somebody like Harvard can go toe-to-toe with him. Their endowment's ridiculous. Their alumni base is ridiculous. The wealth in that school is ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cornell had a pretty solid.
Let's see what Cornell's endowment is. What do you think it is?
I have no idea, but I bet you it's.
Do you think it's
Not
more than University of
insignificant.
Virginia?
I have no idea.
Well, it's a prop bet. There's no wrong answer. Well,
not
there is a
prop
wrong
bet.
answer, but it's okay to be wrong. What is it? Do you think Cornell University is higher or lower than UVA's endowment? UVA's endowment will put at $15 billion.
Yeah, I'm going to say
Cornell's an Ivy League school.
higher. I'm going to say higher.
You're wrong. Cornell University, June 30, 2025, Cornell University's endowment is $11.8 billion after earning a 12.3% return. This value is an increase from the previous fiscal year, $10.7 billion. Let's see what UVA, University of Virginia, 2025 endowment. University of Virginia 2025 endowment as of June 30, 2025. So the same fiscal year ending as Cornell's. University of Virginia endowment was $15.5 billion. So $15.5 billion versus $11.8 billion. What do you think Harvard's endowment is? I bet you Harvard's number one. Harvard University endowment 2025. $56.9 billion for Harvard. Harvard's endowment
Impressive.
is, I'm going to have to do some quick math off the top of my head. 15, 30, 45 is almost 5x. Is it 5x UVA's? Literally doing this on the fly, ladies and gentlemen. Somewhere Mr. Gillespie's like, Jerry, you should be able to do these numbers on the fly.
It's 4 times.
4.5x? Is that what it is?
Something like that.
4.5x UVA's is Harvard's. You see why Harvard's like, let's go. Let's go to Trump.
But they don't want to use that endowment any more than UVA wants to use theirs.
But when you have $57 billion in your endowment, you're able to flex your muscle a little bit longer. That's called leverage.
Yeah, but you're the one that's always talking about the fact that the school can't just use the endowment on anything.
That's very true. All right, list of colleges, 20 colleges with the biggest endowments, U.S. News and World Report. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they make these lists so easily? They need the clickbait revenue of making the list so difficult to digest online. It's so effing frustrating. Let's see. Harvard's 1. Let's see, who else? Yale University in Connecticut's number 2 at $40.7 billion. Both of these Ivy League schools have higher endowments than the gross domestic product of many countries, such as Nicaragua, Iceland, Senegal, per the World Bank. The average endowment at the top 20 colleges with the biggest endowments is nearly $18.6 billion, so UVA is below that. All but 3 of these schools, Texas A&M University, the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and the University of Virginia, are private. So UVA is in the top 20. but multi-billion dollar endowments are not common in higher education. Of the 1,402 U.S. News ranked colleges featured in the most recent data set, the average endowment size... No, I'm not going to create a free account. What are you blocking this for? Put this pop-up away from me. Can I go to the paywall blocker website?
You can try. They haven't been working very well for me.
What, on the Daily Progress website?
Yeah.
Bye-bye paywall?
Or anything else.
Buybypaywall.com? All right, I'm on buybypaywall.com. I'm taking the URL in there. U.S. World News and World Report is doing a paywall blocker? Come on. All right, bye-bye paywall. Let's see if it works on U.S. News and World Report. Someone needs a paywall blocker for the bye-bye paywall website. All right, it's not working. We're going to have to find that out at a different time. All right, anything else? We got to go make some money. It's 1:33 here. I want to give some love to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. 61 consecutive years in business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, guys. Online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com and located on East High Street. Ladies and gentlemen, this family, the Vermillions, are 5 generations strong in Albemarle County. And their business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, is 3 generations strong on East High Street. And Judah, they have an e-commerce website that is absolutely beautiful, frictionless. They offer free in-market delivery.
Yeah.
Explain to me why anyone would not, why would you not shop at Charlottesville Sanitary Supply?
Right.
No, seriously. Free in-market delivery. You get your product faster than the big box brands, and you're supporting a locally owned and operated store that's 5 generations strong in Albemarle County and a business that's 3 generations strong.
And if you have any questions, they're happy to answer.
They literally know their product inside and out. You talk to a human being that lives in your community as opposed to someone on customer support that you don't know what country they're from. And they fix vacuums, pull robots, and do water testing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky to have these people in this community.
100%.
Is that a wrong read?
No.
Lucky to have them.
Yeah.
All right, we close with this. Basketball team tomorrow, Hampton University. This will be a little stiffer test. I'm not saying it's going to be an ACC test, but Hampton's got some athletes. It's a 9 o'clock tip at the John Paul Jones Arena. This DeRitter kid is a beast, dude. He's 6'8". He's Belgian. He's broad-shouldered, strong like bull. Strong like bull, DeRitter. He's a double-double waiting to happen. This Grunlow kid, he's German. He's long. He's like the slinky man. Who's the long guy? Go-Go Gadget Arms? Who's the long guy that has
Inspector Gadget?
Inspector Gadget, did he have, the long guy he's like the guy, Grunlow's like the guy that's on the side of the road that's trying to attract your attention when you're driving by, and they got that guy that's hanging right there that's just waving like this.
Unbelievable. Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong. There you go. That's a great contribution right there, Stretch Armstrong. Stretch Armstrong. Oh, I got the website to load. You ready for this?
Wow.
Of course, the link is impossible to read. 9 o'clock tomorrow, Hampton, UVA. Chance Mallory is my favorite player. Put Chance Mallory in the starting lineup, Ryan Odom. Chance Mallory needs to start. Don't miss the Jerry and Jerry show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. And make sure you support Conan Owen of Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. He's helping one of our tenants with their signage needs right now in the Wells Fargo building. Conan Owen, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, are who you call for any signage related, any vinyl, any direct mail, any banners, any ticketing, any trifolds, pamphlets, folders, uniforms, Christmas gifts for your office, for your clients. Conan Owen, the Darden graduate, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. All right, it's 1:36. That's the I Love CVille on a Monday. It's the water cooler of conversation for Charlottesville, Central Virginia, and beyond. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller.